Chancellor, I want to congratulate you once again on your election victory, 4th term in office. It's really something. Congratulations. Today, our nations face a wide array of shared challenges and opportunities, and I am confident that we will meet them together with the same strength and resolve that has always defined the United States-German friendship. This afternoon, I want to congratulate the Republic of Korea on its historic summit with North Korea. We're encouraged by President Moon and Kim Jong-un's expressed goal of complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. I will be meeting with Kim Jong-un in the coming weeks. We look forward to that, and hopefully it will be productive. I want to thank Chancellor Merkel for her leadership in our campaign of maximum pressure on the North Korean regime, which has helped us to reach this important step, this moment where we are right now. It's taken a long time, many, many decades to get here. Let's see what happens. We seek a future of peace, prosperity, and harmony for the whole Korean Peninsula, unlocking not only a brighter future for the people of Korea, but for the people of the world. However, in pursuit of that goal, we will not repeat the mistake of past administrations. Maximum pressure will continue until denuclearization occurs. I look forward to our meeting. It should be quite something. In our meetings today, the Chancellor and I discussed Iran. The Iranian regime fuels violence, bloodshed, and chaos all across the Middle East. We must ensure that this murderous regime does not even get close to a nuclear weapon, and that Iran ends its proliferation of dangerous missiles and its support for terrorism. No matter where you go in the Middle East, wherever there's a problem, Iran is right there.
Ja, danke schön.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank you for the very warm reception here in the White House and for giving us this opportunity to have an exchange of views. This is my first visit after the re-election to a country outside of Europe, and I thought it was very important to underline that for Germany, the transatlantic ties are of prime importance. We are very much aware of the fact that these transatlantic ties are for us of crucial, of indeed existential importance. These transatlantic ties have given a great contribution to our reunification. The first part of my life I spent on the other side of the Iron Curtain, and the fact that it was possible for our country to reunite is essentially due to the United States and their contribution, and this will be most important also for our future cooperation that is more urgently needed than ever in view of the turbulences all over the world. So Germany will continue to be a reliable partner in NATO, in our alliance, is a reliable partner within the European Union, all the more so since today we fight against nuclearization of Iran, against terrorism, against ISIS in Iraq, in Syria, against terrorism in Afghanistan or in Africa, and we depend urgently on each other. Today we meet at a point in time where it has become very clear that the strength of the American president where he really saw to it that the sanctions against North Korea are abided by, are respected, has opened new possibilities, opened new ways. This first meeting between Kim Jong-un and the South Korean President Moon is a first step on a road that will hopefully lead into a better future. We Germans know only too well what it means after years of separation, after years of division, to have these first contacts, but we will continue to be vigilant to see to it that denuclearization is stopped of North Korea and that a nuclear-free zone is established on the Korean Peninsula. We think that this is essential. We will have to see also in our fight against the Iranian attempts to become nuclear will go on. We are of the opinion that the JCPOA is a first step that has contributed to slowing down their activities in this particular respect, to also establish a better verification and monitoring process. But we also think, from a German perspective, that this is not sufficient in order to see to it that Iran's ambitions are curbed and are contained. It is most important to see that Iran, after all, is trying to exert a geopolitical influence in Syria, in Lebanon, and in Iraq. And we have to see to it that this attempt at influence is curbed, is contained, and that beyond JCPOA, reliability can be established. And I think that Europe and the United States of America ought to be in lockstep on this, or to work together very closely also to end the terrible bloodshed in Syria and to bring about a solution for the region as a whole. And I would also like to point out that Germany, on the one hand, has very close trade relations with you. The President obviously is not satisfied with the trade surplus. We have already been able to reduce that. Our trade surplus that is with the United States, but we still have a long way to go. But the United States, also due to the tax reform, again has become a very interesting place to invest for our companies. And we can say with great pride that not only hundreds of thousands of cars are exported from Germany to the United States, but that from the US to the rest of the world, hundreds of thousands of cars that are built here in the States are exported to the rest of the world, with creating American jobs. And I believe that the workers here have very good working conditions. So that, again, is another bond that ties our two countries together.
All right, we'll take some questions. Blake Berman, yes. Blake?
Thank you, Mr. President. Chancellor Merkel, I'll ask a couple questions of the President first. I want to ask you, I'm going to step over, it's crowded in here. I want to ask you about a couple comments that you made in the Oval Office earlier, in which you said about North Korea that they've played the U.S. in the past like a fiddle, but that's not going to happen to us. Do you, as it relates to hopefully getting peace on the Korean Peninsula, denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, do you feel as if you need to be the closer in that deal? Do you want to be the closer in that deal, or do you think that's something that is shared by all of the major stakeholders, all of the world leaders within that region? And secondly, indulge us if you might, you said that the relationship with North Korea has been strong, or one of the words you used. Have you spoken with Kim Jong-un himself, or do you plan on speaking with him?
I don't want to comment on that.
Do you plan on speaking with him before?
We have a very good working relationship. We're setting up a meeting. Things have changed very radically from a few months ago. You know, the name calling and a lot of other things. We get a kick every once in a while out of the fact that I'll be watching people that failed so badly over the last 25 years explaining to me how to make a deal with North Korea. I get a big, big kick out of that. But we are doing very well. I think that something very dramatic could happen. They're treating us with great respect. And you know what's going on with South Korea. And I think President Moon of South Korea was very generous in saying that we helped make the Olympics a great success because of the fact that, as you know, there was a tremendous animosity. There was a tremendous problem going on. And all of a sudden, people started buying tickets because whole different feeling when North said, we'd love to go to the Olympics. So a lot of good things are happening with respect to North Korea. President Obama told me when I had the one meeting with him, he said, that's your biggest problem. That's going to be the most difficult thing you have. And honestly, I wish it was handled earlier. I wish it were handled by another administration years ago. I'm not just talking about President Obama. I go back to any administration you want. But over the last 25 years, this should have been handled a long time ago, not now. This should not have been left for me to handle. But we will handle it. We're handling it well, and hopefully there'll be peace for North Korea, South Korea, Germany. I mean, everything is included. Japan, the Chancellor has been very helpful in the maximum pressure campaign, as I said, really very helpful. So have many other nations. President Xi of China has been really good at the border. Everyone's surprised at how tight he clamped down. Everyone said that he'd just talk about it, he wouldn't do it. Well, he did it, and he did it out of a relationship that we have, and also out of the fact that we're negotiating trade deals, and I think that's also very important to him. Hopefully we'll come up with something that's good for both countries. So I think some very good things can happen with respect to North Korea. We're setting up meetings now. We're down to 2 countries as to a site, and we'll let you know what that site is. Do you have a question for the Chancellor?
Just to follow up real quickly, do you feel like it's your responsibility for this to eventually get settled between North and South Korea?
I think I have a responsibility. I think other presidents should have done it. I think the responsibility has fallen on the shoulders of the President of the United States. And I think I have a responsibility to see if I can do it. And if I can't do it, it'll be a very tough time for a lot of countries and a lot of people. It's certainly something that I hope I can do for the world. This is beyond the United States. This is a world problem, and it's something that I hope I'm able to do for the world. Okay? Please.
Thank you. And Chancellor Merkel.
Was? Ach so.
Sorry.
Sorry.
No worries. Thank you very much. I'm just wondering if you've been given any assurances that the European Union will be exempt from steel and aluminum tariffs come Tuesday, the May 1st deadline. Did President Trump tell you what he may or may not do? Thank you.
That question.
Der Präsident wird
The President will decide. That is very clear. We had an exchange of views on the current state of affairs of the negotiations and the respective assessments on where we stand on this. And the decision lies with the President.
Herr Ross.
Okay?
Mr. Ross, please.
Thank you. I have a question for the Chancellor, but I'd like to start with a question on Iran for you, Mr. President. After a long day of talks with you, President Macron went to Congress, warned of a new war in the Middle East, and asked the world and the United States to respect the sovereignty of all countries, including Iran. In the absence of a new agreement, are you prepared to use military force to rein in the nuclear program in Iran, or do you have another plan B that is not an agreement and not military force?
I don't talk about whether or not I'd use military force. It's not appropriate to be talking about. But I can tell you this, they will not be doing nuclear weapons. That I can tell you. Okay? They're not going to be doing nuclear weapons. You can bank on it. Okay. Please.
Frau Bundeskanzlerin, noch vor einem Jahr
Madam Chancellor, only a year ago, people in Berlin were very much concerned about President Trump not being ready to show toughness against Russia. Now you've come to Washington with the concern that a new round of sanctions against the so-called oligarchs may well be detrimental to the German economy. Have you asked the President to exempt German companies from these sanctions? And are you generally worried that the United States, because the President is trying to be toughest with President Putin, may well change completely and may well be treating Russia too harshly without coordinating with you? Well, we discussed Ukraine, and here we work together very closely against the illegitimate actions of Russia due to, for example, annexation of Crimea and also the situation they caused in eastern Ukraine. I'm very pleased to say that we work very closely with the American administration in complementing the Minsk format. And the sanctions very much are a thing of the Congress, and we work together with the representative of the administration here also, and very closely with the Treasury. We exchange views on what sort of secondary effects that may have, and looking at the conflicts we have with Russia, for example, in Syria, there is a wide degree of agreement, and no one is interested in not having good relations with Russia. But wherever there are conflicts, wherever there are certain things happening, as for example in Ukraine, we have to call a spade, and the principle of territorial integrity of a country such as Ukraine is one that needs to be upheld and that needs to be enforced. But Madam Chancellor, the exchange, was it satisfactory on these issues between America and Europe? Is it as closely aligned as you want? Yes. Whenever I have questions, I can ask those questions, and I believe that the exchange is there. Again, sanctions have been adopted by Congress. we pointed out to what sort of effects that has. I believe that our finance minister and the Treasury have talked about this yesterday when they met with other finance ministers at the financing for Syria conference yesterday. And whenever I have problems, I can talk to our American counterparts.
Please, CBN. I believe that, when I look at the numbers in Germany and some other countries, they may not like Donald Trump, but you have to understand, that means I'm doing a good job because I'm representing the United States. Angela is representing Germany. She's doing a fantastic job. My predecessors did not do a very good job, but we'll try and catch you, okay? We'll try. We're going to have a reciprocal relationship, and it's going to be something that benefits all of us, okay? Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Angela. Thank you very much.